What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and this is my first video of 2022, depending on where you were around the world when I posted my last video. So once again, happy holidays, and I'm really excited for this banger year coming up when it comes to new and original content I have planned for the channel. But we're going to be talking about a minor update in Black Ops Cold War, a big story that I've been sitting on for a few days regarding Treyarch's next game, and even more. Definitely stay tuned. But before we jump into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And I wanted to say real quickly that tomorrow, January 3rd, is going to be a big day for the Call of Duty community. And the reason I say that is because devs, QA, and people that work over behind the scenes will be returning to the offices after their extended holiday break. And that'll mean that, yeah, content development should be resuming. We should be getting some more marketing from the Call of Duty social channels, and hopefully things turn around for the better when it comes to Vanguard. And yeah, I think, as I talked about before, there are plenty more bundles also planned to release in Black Ops Cold War in 2022, so I'm sure development on those will also continue. But I want to address something real quickly as well regarding, kind of the shift in content you've seen from this channel over the past couple of weeks. As you guys may have already known, I talked about this on the podcast and previous videos. Just like Modern Warfare 2019, Vanguard as of right now, and I say as of right now for a reason, isn't really my cup of tea. I'm not really enjoying making content on the game necessarily, and the reason why is because whenever there's news about the game or something that's controversial in the community, it's really just negative, and I don't want to make every video just a Vanguard rant about what they're doing wrong, what's not working in the game. So I've covered the game, whenever I can, whenever it's something, somewhat positive. I'll be upfront with you guys, right? I'm not going to sugarcoat things and pretend like everything's okay, but I don't want to make every single video something negative about Vanguard. Therefore, I've been mixing in different types of content, still talking about Black Ops Cold War whenever that's possible, even revisiting older games like Black Ops 4 and talking about things that you guys may have forgotten about, and I really sincerely appreciate the support on that different style of content that isn't just news about the newer game. But don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to be, ending my coverage of Vanguard anytime soon. I'll still be covering it whenever possible, and I do believe the game will improve over the course of this year, and I'll probably be enjoying it more and more over time, but we'll just have to wait and see. So first off, we have a minor update for Black Ops Cold War Year 2, as I'm calling it, the Dino Burst bundle, which does cost 1,200 COD points, and it was the final bundle to release before the start of the new year. So as you guys can see, it's a pretty simple bundle, no tracers or mastercrafts or anything crazy going on, but if you guys are a fan of Jurassic Park, then this bundle might be for you. We of course have the the Cretaceous Crusher. I think I said that right. This is a blueprint here for, I believe that's the KSP. Not too bad looking. I would say it's probably aimed more towards the younger audience that still plays this game. And we then have the Extinction Event, which is a really nice name of a blueprint. And this is here for the Tundra Sniper Rifle. Definitely not too bad. We also have the Stegosaurus Charm, a T-Rex Reticle, a Theropod Emblem, as well as the Dino Fight Calling Card, and the Roar sticker there for this dinosaur-themed pack. Again, a pretty inexpensive bundle to end off 2021 with, but like I said many times in the past, more bundles will be releasing in this game over the next couple of months, similar to what happened with Modern Warfare 2019, where that game still got, the Scrap Season 7 content and a bunch of other bundles, even when Cold War was already released. Now, when it comes to a story I've been sitting on for a couple of days, we're going to get into why I was hesitant on talking about this, but as you guys may have already seen, images apparently surfaced of Treyarch's next Black Ops game, presumably releasing in 2023. Now, COD partner Mr. Dog JD did show these images in his recent video, so I'm going to safely assume that Activision gave him approval to do that, so I think we're okay to show them here in this video tonight. But the thing about this, right, is it is a Black Ops game apparently, right? Black Ops is apparently going to be in the title, and of course subject to change, right? The game is pretty far away from release, so anything could happen from now until 2023. But if this is the case, then I guess this further solidifies that Activision has no real interest in having Treyarch or Infinity Ward work on games that aren't Black Ops or Modern Warfare respectively, and I think Vanguard is proof of that. I think Vanguard, with the way it's performed, I know it's a World War II game, but with the way it performed and the name that the game has, Activision's probably like, yeah, let's stick to what's working, and then we'll have Sledgehammer figure something else out in the next couple of years or so. But I don't see them having Treyarch abandon the Black Ops name, especially considering COD 2020 could have just been called Call of Duty Cold War, and that would have been fine, but they added Black Ops in that title for many obvious reasons. Now, I do think it's crazy we're talking about this before we even get any official information about Modern Warfare 2 coming out, less than a year from now. And I think when reporting on the news, though, you're always going to come across early info for new games, and there's no way around that. I think everybody knows, but Jesus Christ, Modern Warfare 2019 was just abysmal when it comes to that. There were just no surprises for that game. I mean, everything had surfaced, from the subtitles, the amount of maps, weapons, specifics. It was just a disaster when it comes to early info and leaks. I wasn't on board with that at all. all. I did not appreciate that when it comes from just the lack of care and the lack of security the game really had. But Cold War was a lot better, right? You know, early things still surfaced about the game, and like I said, that's inevitable when it comes to Call of Duty. And Vanguard was okay with that, but no one really cared enough anyway. So I'm just hoping that going forward with, you know, MW2 coming out, and then, you know, Treyarch's game after that, we have a lot of level of secrecy when it comes to things that should remain a surprise. Now, in terms of where they can go story-wise with COD 2023, the first thing I'll say is, yeah, I think it's really plausible we get a sequel in the 90s, a sequel to Cold War that is, which also keeps the rebooted cast for Mason, for Woods, Hudson, etc. There definitely is a lot of story left to tell in between the events of Black Ops Cold War and even Black Ops 2. There's still a lot of room for that. I don't think Cold War Season 6 necessarily ended on a note where you're like, yeah, this perfectly ties into the opening events of Black Ops 2's campaign where Woods gets captured, Mason meets Menendez. There still is a gap in between that I think they could fill. And I also think the ending of Forsaken where, you know, 5 years later, Peck comes across the ocean looking for his rockets from Operation Inversia. I think that's also more proof that, yeah, a 90s sequel could work, whether it's just for campaign and zombies or just for zombies altogether. I mean, I don't think the era of the game necessarily affects zombies too much, since look at Black Ops 3, right? That game took place in the future. I believe it was 2065, whereas the zombies was nowhere near that time era. It was back in the past. Shadows of Evil was, what, the 20s or the 40s? So, again, the time difference doesn't really matter at all when it comes to campaign and zombies. They'll be doing their own things regardless. Now, this could also be a futuristic title that can overwrite the canon of Black Ops 2, kind of retconning everything that happened in their fan favorite game. They could even tell some stories after the events of Black Ops 2's ending where David reconnects with his father. So there's just so many areas where they can still cover in the Black Ops universe. So I'm really happy with anything at this point when it comes to what the sequel will be like. Now, I think something you absolutely forgot about is an image that popped up, I want to say a good year ago, when some early concept images of Black Ops Cold War were found, and some of these images had Black Ops V on it, representing Black Ops 5. So I want to say at some point in time, there was going to be a game called Black Ops 5, and they for some reason chose not to go through with that and named COD 2020 Black Ops Cold War instead, which to me is fine, because I think after the reception of Black Ops 4, people wouldn't have wanted to see a direct sequel to Black Ops 4, or a game that felt like it was being named as a successor to a previous game that they already didn't like. So they went with Black Ops Cold War, which, again, like I said, I was totally on board with, even though it could have just been named Call of Duty Cold War. But the logo had a V representing 5, right? But maybe that was changed because they knew that Vanguard would also have a similar looking logo, which is a V. So I find that really interesting that after Vanguard has come out, we now have a bit of an answer as to why the original plan for COD 2020 may have changed a little bit. Now, I also personally don't believe we're going to be seeing, you know, a Black Ops 6 in COD 2023, even though that's kind of the placeholder we could all use right now for titles, thumbnails, whatever the case is. I don't think they'll go back to the numerical structure of these new Call of Duties, and same goes for even the Modern Warfare trilogy, or the new rebooted trilogy, I should say. I think the new game coming out will probably just be called Modern Warfare 2, but you know what? It's still possible they call it Modern Warfare something something, and then go from there, just to kind of distinguish the difference between this new rebooted Modern Warfare sequel coming out versus the original Modern Warfare 2 from, what, over 10 years ago now? Let's see what they do with the naming of these games in the future. Now, other images were posted, and I'll put the text on screen instead of showing you the blurry images, but we were able to make out some of the words from what looks like a PowerPoint describing Treyarch's new game. And the first thing says, creative, innovative, yet familiar system designs bridge the gap between Modern Warfare Core and Black Ops, refer to COD Classic game design guidance, destructive AOF system, which I believe represents destructive dynamic map events, kind of that interactive environment that Call of Duty Ghost had and some recent titles have introduced, return to classic zombies, and super terrain system. So the thing is, right, these are pretty vague bullet points that could even have represented kind of the direction they were going with Black Ops Cold War. And the reason I say that is because Cold War Zombies already brought zombies back to its classic roots in a number of ways, that is, right? Because Black Ops 4, you know, it was still traditional zombies, but it kind of revamped certain things like the perk system, for example, that wasn't really received well, and people really didn't ask for it to begin with. So Cold War kind of took it back a little bit and, you know, brought us back to the classic zombies everybody knows. And I know Outbreak was also introduced, so Cold War was a nice blend between the classic experience and then introducing something completely new, which was the open world Outbreak mode. However, Vanguard Zombies obviously changed the entirety of this, so maybe this is referring to ditching the round-based Outbreak hybrid model for 2023. I personally would prefer them to keep the modes separate. You know, give us a new and improved Outbreak with full open world opportunities and no warping, while also adding in traditional round-based experiences alongside that. The experiment with Duran Fung, in my opinion, would have worked if they had more time. And again, it's just my opinion. You can disagree with that down below in the comments, but I just think with the time they had to make Duran Fung, they weren't able to really execute a proper vision to kind of bring zombies to a new level that we didn't see in Cold War. Now, an image was also posted of what looks like some early concept design of maybe the multiplayer, but what's funny about this is that this is actually an image of Moscow, right? If you go in theater mode, you could actually find exactly where this is. Plenty of people online already posted the image of where this is on the map, so obviously devs could be using older games to test things for a new game. 100%, everybody knows that if you're a little bit familiar with game development. But my issue with this is that if they're transitioning over to the new Modern Warfare engine, which Vanguard also currently uses, why or how would they be testing COD 2023 on the Cold War engine, right? I'm not an engineer or a game dev, so maybe I'm missing something here, but I find it weird to think about them, you know, using Cold War to test something that's on a completely different engine. I don't know how that would work exactly. Now, the reason I'm even considering COD 2023 being on the Modern Warfare engine is because I believe in order to make the Warzone integrations a lot smoother, and I know Warzone Pacific and Caldera are a bad example of this, but in order to have a smooth transition, you know, gameplay-wise, right, when somebody plays Cold War multiplayer versus Warzone, they're gonna feel different. So I think in order to kind of eliminate that gap and kind of make the games feel more interconnected, you have all the games on the same engine going forward so that weapon integrations are easier to do. You can incorporate, you know, mechanics and certain things without making things look too different and without having stats change too much. I think that's probably why Activision will, you know, force Treyarch to play their hand a bit and go through with using the new engine. That's probably what's gonna happen, but I'm totally cool with them saying, you know what, Treyarch could be the odd ones out and just use traditional Treyarch engine instead, like they did with Cold War or Black Ops 4, and don't transition over into the Modern Warfare feel of things. Now, don't forget, engine doesn't necessarily mean how the game is going to play, but I get it. Vanguard's a bad example of this because, like I said already, you know, Vanguard's on the Modern Warfare engine. You would have thought the integration with Warzone would have been a lot smoother, stability would have been better, but it wasn't, but that's for other reasons, not really related to the engine, but instead, QA getting fired, devs going on extended holidays, and also the fact that Vanguard is a real good mirror of Modern Warfare, which I'm not a fan of, definitely shows you that Sledgehammer didn't have enough time to really make the game and differentiate it from Modern Warfare, so therefore, they copy-pasted a lot of things that either worked or even didn't work in Modern Warfare 2019. So Treyarch could still use this engine, make the game feel, look, and even play different despite using the same engine. That can happen if they have enough time to really develop this game, which I hope they do. There's also other images of some really early designs of the main menu, right? Campaign, multiplayer, zombies, even faction callings, which were scrapped in Black Ops 4, of course, specialists, futuristic mechanics. So yeah, this game certainly could be mixing in the styles of Black Ops 2, 3, even Cold War, all together into one, right? The best of all three worlds. It could absolutely do that, but from what I've seen from other gaming scoopers on the internet, people that have just observed, a lot of people are kind of on the fence of saying, hey, you know what? This is probably just a bunch of concept images of Black Ops Cold War. It would make sense, right? Taking a look at kind of all the things that were borrowed from even Black Ops 3 and 4, that's probably what they were playing around with when making Cold War. But now for their next game, I don't think they'll be playing around with much from Black Ops 4, at least not right now. So, I mean, who knows if these images are real or not? There's no way for us to necessarily tell. But if you want my honest opinion, I would say these are probably for Cold War. But in terms of how somebody got the image of, you know, new Black Ops working title T10, that could be completely fake. Somebody could have photoshopped it, or maybe it is legitimate and I have all this wrong, where yeah, they are going to be using a lot of elements from Cold War, BO4, even BO3 to make their new title. I mean, anything is possible. Well, there's also a good point I saw brought up about Activision and DMCAs, right? If these images were real, why weren't they taken down? And to me, that's a fair argument. It really is, because more often than not, when things are leaked out and they're not supposed to be, they get taken down relatively quickly. Accounts get striked, people get in big trouble, lawyers turn up to people's houses, serving them paperwork. I mean, yeah, we've seen it all with the Call of Duty community, but it's not always a perfect example of what will happen when you leak something, because I think there's even a chance sometimes something leaks out that really shouldn't have, but in order to not draw more attention to it and to really confirm its legitimacy, they may choose not to strike whatever the content is. And there's also the possibility, like I said earlier, that, you know, because so many devs and higher-ups aren't at the offices right now because of the holiday, they haven't been able to sit down and strike these people. So if these images get striked in the next couple of weeks, that will confirm, yeah, they're real. But even if they do get striked, that might not even confirm their 4K 2023. That could just be, you know, classic old Activision that doesn't like when early images of, you know, older games even get put out, right? People still get striked to this day for posting early alpha gameplay of like Modern Warfare 3 back in the day, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3. They don't like that. So these images could get striked for more reasons than not, and could get striked for reasons that have nothing to do with Treyarch's next title altogether. But there has been a level of inconsistency with how things get striked. Like I said, even on the podcast recently, it's been weird that, you know, when it comes to new bundles for Black Ops Cold War, COD Tracker, that works directly with Activision, would always post early images of them before they even get officially announced, and they were fine, no repercussions. But then recently, people were posting the upcoming Vanguard bundles and got striked immediately. So there really isn't any way to tell when they're going to decide to strike people on any given day. It's really weird to talk about, but that's just the way it goes. But last and definitely not least, for shits and giggles, the release date for Treyarch's next title, for those that are interested, right? So if Call of Duty sticks with the typical November releases, then we have a number of different Fridays that could work out perfectly for the launch of this game. I mean, Friday, November 3rd, that's a good one. November 10th, I probably wouldn't guess that they would go any farther than this in terms of a release date, but if they go as far as the 17th or even the 24th, that just gives them more time to work on the game, right? You know, a good point that I already followed up on from Prestigious Key in a recent video is that if they were to give all new Call of Duties a Season 7, that would theoretically give the devs more time to work on some of these newer games, right? Instead of ending at Season 6 and releasing the game in late October, early November, what if they do a Season 7 for all these games and then release the newer titles in early December or even beginning of January? That would be cool, but again, realistically, if devs fall behind the scenes, it would defeat the purpose of delaying these games, because yeah, if a dev has from January to January to make a new game, then that's the same amount of time as November to November, you know, depending on how the COD cycle works over in the future. But that is about it. This has been dkdynamite. Leave your thoughts down below in the comment section. What are your thoughts on the current state of Vanguard, the new minor update in Black Ops Cold War to end off our 2021 bundles? And also, what are you feeling about the new rumors and images about T10, apparently Treyarch's new Black Ops game? Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everybody.